Hello everybody, it's Will here. Happy New Year's. Today is January 1st. As you can see, I'm out at my hive. I stopped out here this past Saturday to check on the bees. It had been a couple weeks since I've been out here, and I discovered that I believe the bees did not make it through the little bit of winter that we've had already. So I'm here to kind of number one, go through the hive and try to figure out what happened to them. And number two, kind of clean it up a little bit and get ready for when I order bees again this spring. So I'm going to kind of go up here. You can see I'm not suited up at all, so I don't need it. Pull the lid off here. Here you can see the sugar I had left them for as emergency feed to make it through the winter, just in case they needed it. Well, they didn't. As you can see here, they didn't touch it at all. It did kind of crust over a little bit from the humidity, condensation in there. I got some yellow jackets. Whoops. Looks like we got some yellow jackets here on the lid. Brush them off. Okay. Gonna kind of go through these frames, see what happened. That side's pretty much empty, a little bit of pollen in there. This side still has capped honey and bee bread. This is a tool you never have seen me use on the hive before. I've never used it while they were, while I have active bees in here, just because from other things I've read and watched, the bees don't like to brush at all. So I'm not going to aggravate them anymore by using a brush on them. Clean up some of this odd comb on this frame. Okay, so they had honey stores there on the outer edge. That's completely empty. Kind of see a little cluster there. A few on the back side here. Bee bread, a little bit of nectar stores, a little bit of capped honey. You can see bee butts sticking out of the comb. From what I researched, that usually indicates that they starve to death. So third frame in, and we hit a little bit of a cluster. And it still has some weight in there from nectar. If you look down in, you can see all the bees laying on the bottom. Here's a little bit of the cluster. Still a little bit of honey there. A little bit of honey there. It's the fourth frame in. We're getting towards the center of the hive here. Got capped honey. And you can see nectar glistening in there. And plenty of bee bread. See, I've been feeding these guys pollen patties late into the spring. So that helped with the bee bread. Okay, this frame's pretty light. Hardly anything in that. This one has some weight to it with all that bee bread in there, pollen. A little bit on this side, and nectar. Yep. Okay. Check on this frame. This one's light. Pollen in there. I don't know if you can see. I'm trying to get it in the light. See some pollen and some nectar in there. That side has hardly anything. Huh. Interesting. Old pollen stores in there. Not much going on in there. Now I'm looking at the, I don't know if you can see, I'm looking at the bottom board here. There's not many bees in there. Not what I would expect, but maybe that's all the size their cluster was. Maybe they weren't strong enough to hold off. You can see there's some dried sugar here on the edge, but I think that's partially from what fell down in. Set my stuff over here for a second. Get this bottom box off for now. Put that there. So, what I want to do, still trying to figure out what caused these bees to go. So, I'm going to take some of these bodies from the bottom here. Put them in this cup. Add some water. So I'm trying to figure out if they had a mite problem. So I'm shaking the bees up here. See if I see any mites come off. Okay, I see one mite floating in there. Just one. I treated this fall. Let's get this in the sun for a second. Yeah, still I only see one mite. Two. I'm gonna try that again. Empty the cup. There's the queen bee right here. Hope I missed her. Where'd she go? It's about as bad finding her now dead as she was when she was alive. Oh well. Now this queen was one they made themselves, and I marked it, which was the first time I ever did that this year, and she was doing really well. She was laying like a champ. I lost her. So she was there. It tells me they didn't abscond, they didn't just take off. Add some water. Get over here in the sun. Okay. Poke the bees a little bit. Usually you would, when the bees are alive, you would use alcohol, and you'd use a cup full of live bees, and you'd shake them into alcohol. The alcohol kills the bees instantly, which is kind of unfortunate. You're killing bees, but that's how you get a mite load. I see one mite out of that. All right. So last year I didn't shake my bees at all. I just treated with Mite Away quick strips there in the fall, early fall, or late summer I should say. And from what I'm seeing here, that did the trick for mites. So I think I'm going to use that same treatment next year and see how it goes, because that seemed pretty effective. From what I'm seeing here, I think basically the main problem was so far is the cluster had eaten most of their honey stores in the center of the hive up already. They still had a fair bit of honey over here on this side, but they didn't move over and get it. And then I'm going to go through the top box just to see how much resources is in there. In the meantime though, I'm going to pop this bottom board off. Dump the bees over here. Should have brought the brush. Dried sugar. Pull this crusty thing out here. Okay. Well, this is something I'd never be able to do if I had bees in there, because I pulled the bottom board out. And look, you can see they built a comb underneath here. That's interesting. And I couldn't pull that whiteboard out earlier in the season. I think they had junk shoved down in this channel here. So much easier now that it's cleaned out. Okay. The other thing I want to fix here is the hive stand had worked itself off the bricks over time, so I wanted to straighten that up. This spring I'm going to come in and try to get rid of this grass here, knock it back, make it a little easier to deal with. Okay, that's in. Some more reducer there for now. Burr comb. Okay. Put these frames in. It doesn't matter the order now. Before I get my bees this spring, I'll come back out here and prepare the boxes for them. And the bees, even though these frames are all messed up, when I get the new bees, put them in here, they'll clean them up pretty fast. Where did that want to go? Okay. Takes care of that box. That was the bottom box. Looks like that's where the cluster had stayed. They never moved up. Doesn't look like. I'm gonna try to do something with the sugar. I think I'm gonna carry it over there, or over here, and kind of sprinkle the, or over here, sprinkle the sugar out before I go through this. Now this box has some weight to it. Where do I put it? There we go. Next rain comes by, we'll dissolve all that sugar. That box has quite a bit of weight to it. Okay. I'm going to go through this box like I did the other. Nothing in that frame. Capped honey. Capped honey. This one's heavy. It's all nectar or sugar syrup. That frame's pretty heavy. This frame's pretty heavy. So it's not capped, but there's plenty of it there. Same way with this one. You can see the sugar syrup in there crystallizing in amongst some of the actual nectar. And they had some pollen stores up here too. This one's pretty empty. This one has some weight to it. Capped honey. And a little bit of cap there. All that honey there. Capped honey there. This one full of nectar. This one has, they're still working on the comb on that one. So, fair bit of capped honey in this one. Especially on that frame. There's a whole side of it. I should have brought my other lid inner cover with me today. That way I don't have to worry about a top entrance. I think I'm just going to leave this sit as is until the spring, and I'll come out here and get it prepped up. So put the inner cover on, and then put the outer cover on. Although because of this notch here, which acts as a entrance and the ventilation, I'm gonna slide the outer cover forward to prevent them from anything from coming up in here. Usually during the summer I have that slid back, the inner cover slid back here, and that allows ventilation, and then the bees can come in and out of the back. All right, so that's it, folks. It looks like the cluster, as small as the cluster had stayed in the bottom box, ate up most of the honey around them, but never moved up. If they had moved up, there was plenty of stores up there for them to make it through the winter. So that's that until this spring and I get new bees. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. Hope you guys have a wonderful new year, and I'll see you this spring.